Welcome and thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Karin England. I'm a landscape architect and a park planner with Metro Vancouver Regional Parks. And I'm your host for this half-hour Facebook Live session. Today's topic in celebration of Pollinator Week is pollinators. This is the sixth and our final installment of a six-part Grow Green live stream series. Our previous segments covered topics like food gardening, lawn alternatives, trees, and native plant gardening. And all of those videos are available for you to view on our Facebook page. Before we go any further, I would like to acknowledge that the land that we live on is the shared ancestral homelands of the Coast Salish First Nations. As a gardener and someone who works in parks and with the land, I would like to express my gratitude for the First Nations for the example they show us of how to live with a deep connection with nature. Part of my work at Metro Vancouver has been to collaborate on the creation of a free web-based tool to support people in the region who want to garden in a more sustainable way. And I would like to show you that tool now. This is the Grow Green Guide website. You can find it at growgreenguide.ca. It was developed in collaboration with the UBC Botanical Garden. So the information is specific to our region and it's been vetted by people who are experts in the field. So it's got information that you can really trust. It's got some designs that we've been pre-generated that are good for this region. And also some of the designs have been specifically done to support pollinators. So you can explore in there. We've also got information about plants that we recommend for growing in this region, stuff that is really reliable, disease-free, and readily available at nurseries. Some of these plants have been selected particularly because they are native plants or support bees or support butterflies. You can see the list here. So let's just try a test of this widget here. If I select plants that support bees, you can see that there are 193 plants here that we have recommended to support bees in particular. If you want information about it, you just keep clicking through and you can see you can get quite detailed information about what that plant needs to be healthy and how to maintain it. We even have links to the designs that we've got for you that include that plant. Very powerful tool. Some other features that you might be interested in, you can send us your gardening questions and we'll get back to you with answers, or you can sign up to join our mailing list to receive updates from the Grow Green Live team. So I invite you to take a look at that tool. It's free for everyone in the region to use. It's a great resource. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our guest speaker today. Her name is Winnie Hwo. She is a senior public engagement specialist at the David Suzuki Foundation and a butterfly ranger. Welcome very much to our Facebook Live today, Winnie.
Thank you so much, Karin. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here and to speak with you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Okay, let me just stand up a little. See the butterfly in the shirt? So I'm wearing my butterfly ranger shirt today. So I joined the foundation about 10 years ago. And in 2017, we started the National Butterfly Way project. And so this is has been taking a lot of my time, but it's just so much joy and meeting our rangers. They are just fantastic. And so I feel that since 2017, I'm a much better person today as a butterfly ranger.
That's amazing. Can you tell us a bit about Pollinator Week, what it is and what the activities are?
So for a long time, we worry that the National Pollinator Week seems to be an American creation. So this week, we didn't have a Pollinator Week in Canada. So there's this organization called the Pollinator Partnership. So they actually started the Pollinator Week, the National Pollinator Week for Canada. So this year is the year that we celebrate this. And because we're going through some tough times, so we sent out a news release recently, and we don't want to use the word celebrate, but then there's a lot for us to be grateful. So we said that we're marking this week as a very special week. We have rangers who joined since 2017, but for 2020 season, they joined the project in March. So they went through a one-day training and they started going home. They got all the information, and then they also lean on each other to get support and help, because not all rangers are the same. Some are master gardener and some are bug experts, and some are just average citizen like myself, who is very passionate to do something for the environment and for our pollinators. And so they joined, and now we went through some difficult times as well because COVID happened. But then in April, all the rangers were able to get their plants. So each ranger get 10 plants, and they are what we call the indigenous pollinator plants. So they are really native plants that are native in BC. And so they bring those plants home and they started planting. And in fact, this is just like very little from the foundation, because rangers tend to add more plants and they create these huge gardens and create community gardens. So what they're doing is to plant all these pesticide-free native plants. And sometimes we also add pollinator plants that are non-invasive, but then maybe not so local, to prolong the pollinator season. And so what they have been doing is when they plant, we are helping to create the home and shelter for our pollinators. That includes the butterflies, the bees, the birds, and the bats. And we know as humans, we need home and shelter, and so do our pollinators, because our lives really depend on them.
What are some of the activities that are going on this week to celebrate Pollinator Week?
So we have a number of community gardens that have already been doing wonderful work, and then they joined the Rangers Project. And so what we've been doing is, since Monday, our rangers have been signing up and also inviting the public to go and visit these community gardens like Moberly Arts and Cultural Center, Riley Park, Sunset Community Garden. And because we're all over the Lower Mainland, and so there are specific neighborhoods we wanted people to go. Like in Burnaby, for example, this year we have a pilot project. So Carol and Jordana are our rangers, and they create this beautiful, beautiful pollinator garden, and it's really an educational site. So it's at the Scandinavian community garden. So we're asking people, go to visit these places and see what our rangers have done, and you can do that too. So we're making it easy for everyone as well. So if you click on the Vancouver Butterfly Way Rangers Project or Richmond Butterfly Way Rangers David Suzuki Foundation, just click on any of those on Google, and you will go right to our webpage, and all the information you need. There are hyperlinks, and you can take advantage of all that information. So everyone can be a ranger, because we all want to help the environment and our pollinators.
Don't you find that gardeners in particular, well, maybe not in particular, don't you find that gardeners are people who really want to collaborate and work together and support each other? It's such a wonderful community of people.
Not necessarily. There are gardeners and there are gardeners. So we're very lucky. We have wonderful gardeners, but I also know that gardeners can be quite opinionated sometimes, because it's like a very strong thing that you like a certain plant and you like it. Like even things in the last few years, we have discussion, like heated discussion sometimes, to talk about whether we should plant just native plants or non-native but non-invasive to prolong the pollinator's life. And so like the feeding time and also the sheltered time. So, but overall, I would say that gardeners are the best people, because I mean, they don't mind getting their hands dirty. And when they do that, they are doing such good work. And through these networks, we are learning from each other. So the butterfly people are learning from the bee people and the bird people. So yeah, we are all smarter as a result of the project. and collaborating for sure.
Can I show some photos? And maybe you could just
Yeah.
tell us what it is we're looking at? Just to
Mhm.
give people an idea of what some of the projects look like. Uh-huh.
Okay.
So
So
what are
this
we looking at here?
so this is a beautiful site. So this is actually in White Rock. It is a place called the Southmere neighborhood. So it's brought to us by our new ranger, Laurence. And so Laurence joined the project. She has great hope. And during the course of being a ranger, it happens all the time, every year, because we have an 8 month volunteer contract. So Laurent got a little sick and she needed time to recover. So, but then if you think that would stop her, no way. So this is what you're seeing. So while she was getting treatment and getting better, she was joining every Zoom meeting we have, and she's also doing this kind of thing. She's planting, um, and this is the result. And so it warms our heart when we see the result of that. And she's an active member on our Richmond Surrey Facebook group, and so she makes us so happy. Like she warms our heart every day. And so every time when we see Laurence on our Zoom meeting, we think, "Yay!" Yeah,
What about this? This is a different scale of garden, different kind of location. What's this
yeah.
about?
Yeah. So this actually is one of the many similar type. So this is in the Point Grey neighborhood, and it's near the Queen Elizabeth School. So Domina is a mother of children who go to Queen Elizabeth School. So she's an active mom who works with other mom rangers. So they joined together this year and joined the Butterfly Way Ranger. And so what they've been doing is they also adopt these little corners, street corners, and we work with the Vancouver Green Street program. So I have to say that uh, it's like we could not have done this program. We started Vancouver Butterfly Project in 2019. We added Vancouver in the number of different cities. We could not have started that season without the help and support from the Green Street program. So these folks are wonderful, and they make work for people like Domina so much easier.
It looks like she's got a little cat that's going to come help her with her planting.
Oh, I think so. And they usually get the neighbors. So something that is also interesting is that that little blue sign, it's our Butterfly Way lawn sign. So the T-shirt and the lawn sign are as much as we're willing to do to add stuff to the project. So these are the two stuff that we will have, and we've been having, but we're not adding other stuff. But these two are worth the while to wear the shirt and also the sign, to put the sign on the lawn, because people look at the sign, and they ask, so what is
Mm.
this? And it seems to be really wonderful. So I can do that too. So how do I do that? And so they would call up the office, call me. And this year we tried to make it easier. We added a QR code. So people can actually go on the QR code and they go right to the web page, the Vancouver Butterfly Rangers Project. And so they already learn a lot. So we're still getting a lot of emails from citizens who see the signs and then they want to help. So that is the kind of like ongoing nonstop. Sometimes it's a little um, hectic, but at the same time, to know that citizens are responding to this and everybody thinks that they want to lend a helping hand, that is the best.
I want to show one more photo. I saved, I think, one of the best ones for last. What is that?
So that is becoming our iconic butterfly. So this is the Western tiger swallowtail. And so some people call it just the yellow tiger swallowtail. And we have a ranger, Stephen Dietz Fink, who is a District of North Vancouver ranger. So he is actually the lead to help rangers to do our citizen science piece. So if you have a photo of any butterfly that you see in this season, now is the season to take photos of butterfly. You take that butterfly photo and then you submit that into DSF Bimby on iNaturalist. So DSF Bimby is a project. So if you take the photo, if you're already on iNaturalist, submit that photo and then you need to specifically look for DSF Bimby project to submit it over there. So we're doing a bit of a citizen science project And it is really key this year. And we're also working with Tara Moreau from the UBC Botanical Garden. So we're going to analyze all the statistics. So if you have a photo of a butterfly and a photo of the plant that the butterfly is resting, submit those photos because we will be sharing the results at the end of the season this fall. So this one particularly, Stephen calls it the tiger tail. So it's not the correct way to call it, but it shortens um, and it makes it funny. And so now it's become a ranger's inside joke. So this tiger swallowtail shows up all the time. I'm pretty sure that for your viewers today, they would have either seen it already or they will be seeing them. So they are in North Shore, they're in Richmond, they're in Surrey, they're in Vancouver. And I was in the Sunset Community Garden on Main and 56 this Monday. We were just wrapping up our public event with social distancing, of course. And while we were doing that, uh, this butterfly just flew right past the three rangers who were chatting, almost like telling us that come and take a photo of me. So we weren't quick enough, but we will do it sometime.
It's stunningly beautiful.
It is.
Very beautiful. So I think we've probably got a lot of people that are excited about participating and supporting butterflies in their gardens. In fact, we have a question from someone who says, what should I do if I want to support butterflies in my garden or bees nesting in my garden?
Okay, so the first thing I would suggest is plant the non-pesticide plants.
How do you know if something's been grown with pesticides or not,
You
Winnie?
need to ask.
Okay.
So you will need to ask. So for me, I go to certain nurseries. So Phoenix Perennial is one that we often go to. Figaro in East Vancouver, Hunters in Surrey and Vancouver West Side, Hunters.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for me, of course, like because we order in bulk, so we go to places like Denison and we order from Nets. So those are the go-to places that you know that these places are pesticide free. But we often also feel that rangers, because we're also consumers, when we want to go out and like to a nursery to get our plants, if we ask enough time that I'm only willing to buy a non-pesticide plant, that will happen because I think the retailers would want to coordinate with the consumers.
Now, just in case people are wondering, why is it so important to use pesticide-free plants?
It's the same idea as I was going to pick some surface berry and show you guys today, but it's the same idea. When I go to my surface berry on my patio, I only spray it with garlic juice that I produce myself. It's very easy. You put it in a blender, you spray it, and you get rid of some of the bugs. So when I pick those berries, I can just immediately put it in my mouth, and I know that I'm not feeding myself with pesticide. So the same idea, if we don't want to be ingesting pesticide, why would we want our pollinators, butterflies, bees, birds to ingest pesticide? Because ultimately pesticide is poison. So we don't feed our children with poison. We don't feed our pollinators with poison.
Right. Are there any plants that you would like to recommend? I know this year you've got a list of plants in particular that you're focusing on.
So I'm just moving a little because I'm getting my my training manual.
Okay.
So we're recommending some of the major ones like common camas, the pearly everlasting.
Do you have photos in your manual that you could share?
Yes.
Show us.
So
Yeah.
um,
Thank you.
so here's a pearly everlasting. Yeah. And so we have the Pacific bleeding heart. They are gorgeous and they are great. And these are all, and yeah, and my favorite this year is the coastal kinnikinick. And it's also because it's so fun to say the word kinnikinick. Yeah. And then the nodding onion. And I think a lot of the gardeners and especially your audience would already know a lot of plants benefit butterflies and also bees. So fennel is one example. Most and almost all the herb plants, the mint plants are absolutely great. So my home has 3 pots of chocolate mint. So I cannot make pasta that fast with all these chocolate mints. So sometimes I harvest them and give them to my neighbors. But at the same time, it's just wonderful to smell them on your patio. And when the bumblebee come, I know that, hey, that we're doing it the right thing. Yeah,
Doing the
and
right
they
thing.
love it. They love it. Yeah.
Laurie Schneider was here last week, and she also talked about knotting onion being an important plant as a native species, and that it was quite easy just to propagate a lot of new plants just by spreading the seeds.
Oh, totally. So one of the inside joke that we have also is that because we spend budget on purchasing the plants, wildflowers basically, for our rangers to plant, but in fact they're all over the place. So for 2 years now, we're committing ourselves as butterfly rangers that we're going to do plant propagation. So next year, and this year it already started. Carol and Leah both. They're both rangers since last year. So they started the Sunset Community Garden. So I was there on Monday. So what they did was they brought 400 little pots of plants that they actually planted from their backyard.
That's a
Brought
lot
them
of
to the
plants.
Totally. I mean, they don't have to be big. I mean, the small ones because they grow. And so she was the both of them, mother and daughter, were able to give out these plants to the neighbors and also rangers who joined the Sunset Garden tour on Monday. So we're seeing a lot of that. And Riley Park is the same. Selena always tells us that. And I love it. I love Selena because she tells me that the seeds, if you plant seeds, it doesn't have to be complicated. So some people put the seeds in the fridge and then come out and then like you have to do all kinds of things. And I'm not that person. And Selena is my go-to person as Butterfly Way Ranger and Master Gardener because she said we at Riley Park they often just sprinkle the seeds and they show up the next year.
And it's
Yeah,
fine.
I love that.
Simple. Is there some things that you can do in the winter, like maintenance things you could do or not do to help make sure that you're supporting pollinators?
Yeah, so one thing that we're asking everyone, um, just don't be a clean freak. It is okay for the garden to look messy. That's what it's supposed to be. Because with the fallen leaves and then the fallen petals, just let the garden be a little. I mean, you can organize it. It doesn't have to be a total mess, but it also doesn't need to be absolutely clean and immaculate. Because underneath all those leaves and the petals and everything, there could be eggs of our butterflies. So one thing that increasingly, I live in a townhouse complex. My neighbors are going to kill me, but I keep saying that keep bringing in the leaf blower, and every time it happens, it just gives me a headache, and I just want to curl up like a ball and I'm committed to like change some minds and let's not do that. So the leaf blowers are bad for climate change. It's been written about last year hugely, and it serves no purpose at all. We can totally clean up our yards with just a broom and yeah, some tools.
Mm-hmm. The leaves are called leaves because you're supposed to leave them there. That's what someone told me once. Leave
Yeah,
me alone. Yeah,
yeah, I'm
yeah,
totally with that.
yeah. Someone is asking a question about the app they should use. Was it iNaturalist? Do you want to just maybe go over that again quickly?
Okay, so you need to join iNaturalist first of all. So it's an app and it is really wonderful. So you join iNaturalist and then you look for projects. So you can type in DSF, BIMBY as in BIMBY, project. So if you see DSF BIMBY project, if you have a photo, you need to submit to the DSF BIMBY project. So it is an actual action you need to do. And then the other thing you can also do is that just go into iNaturalist and type in Bimby butterflies in my backyard. So basically, we have 2 projects there. So Bimby butterflies in my backyard is not for submission, but it is a collection, is a filter. So it basically includes all the butterfly submissions that everyone under iNaturalist have submitted. So when you go to Bimby Butterflies in My Backyard, it's also a DSF project. So you will see 1900 plus observations. So those are the butterflies, everyone. So not just rangers, but everyone in BC. And then, but if you want to submit, then you need to elaborately, like specifically submit your photo to DSF Bimby project.
And
Yeah.
that's the citizen science project where you're collecting data?
Yes. Yeah. So that helps that because only the DSF Bimby collects the data specifically if you submit to that. And so we will see right now we have about 195 observations, and we have some cool guys who's doing IDing for us. People like Crispin Guppy. He's a superstar. He wrote the Butterfly book. And I saw his name over and over again. He's been helping us to ID our butterflies. So yeah, so it is just like this other community that through the Butterfly Rangers project, people are actually learning a huge bunch.
You have a lot of irons in the fire over there, Winnie. It seems like there's a lot of positive momentum and a lot of work going on.
Yeah.
Got another question about lawns. Is it possible that how could you grow a lawn that's a better supporter of pollinators? We've
So
talked about lawn.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I learned this from my recent visit to Riley Park, and I encourage people to go visit Riley Park. So you will see that grass lawn is actually a thing of the past. Is becoming, because we know that even in states like California, because of the water shortage, people are shying away from having green lawns like grass. But then you can have ground cover. Clover is one, kinnikinick is another one. So there's a huge variety of plants that could be great ground cover. So we're asking people, and I was at Paula Park yesterday in Richmond, and I again recommend everybody, you need to go. We have 2 Butterfly Way gardens there, but we're just helping. It's the gardeners at the Paula Park, it's the Richmond Garden Club. So Linda Pasacreta is the president, and she was introducing to us that the catmint, which otherwise some people see it as a bit of a weed, but then if we position them properly, they could actually serve a purpose. So she, in some areas of Paula Park, she planted them along the edges. So right now it's beautiful. And in fact, it also becomes a natural barrier. Yeah, and also it's kind of a bit of a ground cover as well. And so I think that we don't need to do like go to the extreme and just eliminate one and do the other. But even if we have a mixture of different ideas, it will only make your garden look so much prettier. And the bottom line is that when you do all of those things, you are actually doing a great service to nature. And how great is that?
Right. Your garden will be beautiful and you'll be giving a service to nature.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful message. And I think that's a really nice way to end off for today, Winnie. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you so much for all the work you do, all the volunteering you do. I really appreciate it. I'm sure others appreciate it too. This is how things get better. It's by people being really committed and dedicating their time to something. So thank you for that. For people who sent questions we didn't get to, or you have questions, just send them to us. We'll follow up and provide written responses in the discussion as soon as we can, or go to the Grow Green Guide website and send questions using the link that's there. As I mentioned, this is the final segment of the 6-part series. However, we will be back to cover other gardening topics in the future. If you have ideas about what you would like us to talk about or guests you'd like us to invite, please put a note in the chat box. I'm pointing as if you can see it, and we will take note of that And I believe that there's going to be a poll posted also to our Facebook page. So you can let us know what it is you'd like us to talk about in the future. Thank you so much for joining us today. And for those of you who have been along for more than one episode, thank you so much for your sharing some of your time with us. And I hope that you have a wonderful summer and that your gardens grow beautifully this year. Until we meet again.